Hi everybody, this is Lisa and I want to welcome you to another Verbling class. It's 4 p.m. Pacific time and we are going to start this class now. So I'm going to start welcoming everybody into the Google Hangouts. If you would like to join this class, all you have to do is click on the green Join Class button, which should be available up above the Verbling chat box, and we can have up to 9 people in this class. So if you are interested in doing some reading and some speaking in English and having a discussion, then please click on the Join Class button and you will be able to participate in class. Welcome everybody. Let's see here. I've tried to. Okay, let's get started. Some people are going to probably join us since we have a few more spots. I'm not sure if there's another. I think there might be another class going on as well, so that offers more opportunities for people to participate. I'm going to put the link to the document. I took this from the NPR website, and I don't know if you can see it in the Verbling chat, so I'm going to put it in the Google Hangouts chat also. I'm not sure if the Google. Try again. If somebody else could put it in the Verbling chat, that would be helpful. It looks like maybe it's not working on my side for some reason. Anyways, if you want to join the class, I think we have a couple more spots. Click on the Join Class button. Today I chose an article from NPR, which is National Public Radio in the United States. And recently they made a decision that women are going to be able to fight in combat, like on the front lines. So this has been something that wasn't allowed before in the U.S. military, and so now this is a change in their policy for women in the military. And so I thought it would be interesting and timely to have a reading about it and then a discussion, because in fact in some countries women are already fighting on the front lines. So it's not something that's totally new in the world, but it is new for U.S. women in the military. So let's get started here. I'm going to ask you to just say your name and tell us what country you're from, and we'll get started. Joseph, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi there. How are you today?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, I'm Yusuf and I'm from Yemen and my native language is Arabic.
Okay, wonderful. Rasal, how are you today?
Hello. Hello, I'm fine. I'm Rasal from New York, and yes, what you ask?
That's all. But I'm wondering, now that you reminded me that you are in New York, is it pretty cold there right now?
Oh yes.
Because
it's better from yesterday, but it's still very cold. Temperature, I guess it's 5 or 6, something like that, and I'm right now drinking tea.
Yeah, because in one of my other classes this week, we did some reading about in Chicago, they've been having some really freezing cold weather, and they had a fire in a warehouse, and when they were trying to put it out, the water that they were trying to use to put out the fire just kept freezing, and it made all these icicles on the building, and I was wondering if it was happening over in New York too, that cold weather. So yeah, sounds like it. Hi Landit, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine, thanks. My name is Landit and I'm from Mexico.
Okay, wonderful. And Corey, are you there? Corey, I think that's how you say it. Corey?
Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, my name is Koray. I am from Turkey.
Okay, Corey, welcome. And Imad, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm here. Thank you very much.
Why don't you tell everybody what country you're from, Iman?
Yes, I'm from Syria, and I'm living now in Egypt.
Oh, in Egypt. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, and Andoni, are you there?
Yeah, yes, I'm here. My name is Nani, and I'm from Mexico.
Okay, wonderful. What part of Mexico are you in?
I live in Monterrey, Mexico.
Okay. And Ahmed, are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm alright. How are you, Lisa? Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Well, I've never seen you, but I hear you.
Yeah, right.
That's okay. And tell everybody what country you're from.
Yeah, I am Ahmed from Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Okay. So, yes, I'll just let people know there might be some people that are watching this trying to decide if they want to come in to the class. I think there might be one or two more places left, so you should see the join class button. So if you're thinking about it, you want to join the class, just click on the green button. You do not have to have your camera on. I usually have my camera on because sometimes it's actually easier to understand somebody when you can see them speaking. But I will be putting my screen share on to when we start reading the article. But you do not have to have your video on. In fact, for most people, it's easier to not have your video on because then you have a better internet connection. So I don't think the Verbling chat is working for me. I'm not sure why. So I put the link up there.
Not only the chat box, but also some different joining the classes. And sometimes I join the classes and immediately I think it's problem with the Hangout also because it's crashed sometimes. I don't know.
Yes. I think sometimes they're not sure if it's a Verbling problem or a Google Plus Hangouts, but I know the other day that the Hangouts was actually down everywhere, and so they were having problems with that. But if you continue to have problems, it's a good idea, especially if you want to go to the Facebook web page for Verbling and you can tell them about it, or if you're in a class, you can tell the teacher and then we'll tell Verbling, because maybe if it's on their side, they can do a fix for it. So if you ever have any problems with anything, then just let us know somehow, and then the people who run the website, they are always working on the website and always trying to make it better. So if you have any problems or ideas on how to make things work better, you can tell them or tell one of the teachers, and we will tell them. So is it a problem like when you click on the join class button and you come in and then you get dropped pretty soon, or is that what it is?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, sometimes.
Landon?
Yes, and sometimes, but it's more about Hangout. Application in Google
I see.
have some mistakes, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a problem with our connections and maybe various difficulties. I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to figure out where the problem is coming from because there's so many different factors: the internet connection, the speed, your computer, the different programs, the browser. There's all different types of things working together.
Yes,
So.
it's complicated. Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree. Okay, we have another person who just joined us. Christophe, are you there?
Yes, I am there. I'm
Hi.
here.
Wonderful.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine also. Thank you.
And would you like to tell us what country you're from?
I'm from France,
From France. All right. Welcome.
from the
Okay.
north.
The north part of France. Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And I like your little Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's funny. Okay, so like I mentioned before, today is a reading class for me, and I picked an article from the National Public Radio website. It's talking about women, U.S. women actually, serving in combat units. So combat is fighting, so actually on the ground fighting. So I'll give you a little bit of a background before we start reading. And I'm not an expert on military policy or history or anything, but I believe that women in the U.S., they can join the military, different parts of the military, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines. But up until recently, they have not been able to go actually to like the front lines and actually do ground fighting. They have just been doing other types of jobs for various reasons, and now they just made a new ruling, a new policy, that they're going to allow women to actually work with men on the ground and in the fighting. And so this, of course, is something that is controversial. Some people think it is a good idea. Some people disagree. They do not think it is a good idea. So I thought we would do a little practicing of our reading in English, and we will read it, and then we will have a discussion about it. And while we're reading, if you have any questions about the meaning of words or phrases, if there is something that you don't understand, don't be shy. You can ask. And I guess the Verbling chat is not working, so maybe if we want to ask a question in the chat, you can do it just in the Google chat if it's working. So anyways, let's get started. It looks like it's kind of a long article, so we'll have plenty of words for people to read. So Joseph, would you like to start reading the first paragraph? Does everybody have the link? It looks like we have about...
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, I haven't.
I didn't hear you. Joseph?
I have not the link.
Okay, why don't you, let's see.
Teacher,
Yes?
can you send the link for reading?
Yeah, I sent the link into the Google chat, and if you click on that chat right there on the left side of your Google Hangouts, you should be able to see the link. Andoni says it's working, looks like, and Ahmad's in there. So are you able to get it, Joseph?
Yeah, it's for me. I have it. Someone else
okay.
was asking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So does everybody have it now?
Yes, I have it.
Okay, great. And I
Poor
want to
woman,
just...
poor scary woman. Poor scary woman, running away from the battle.
Yeah. So I just want to welcome Ifran. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi there. Welcome. It looks like our Verbling chat is not working, so I posted the reading in the Google chat. So if you can find it there, you can click on that link, and then you'll be able to see what we're going to read.
Yes, I got the information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Okay, well, let's start with Joseph reading the first paragraph there.
Okay. Around the globe, women already serve in combat units. There is an echo. Can you just check?
There's an echo. Yeah, I'm gonna, Efren, I think I'm gonna turn off your mic because it seems like there's some noise there. Okay, try that.
Okay. Israel again.
Okay.
Oh God. Okay. Israel, Germany, and Canada are among the countries that have already marched down the path. The U.S. will soon follow in allowing women a role in frontline combat units. And most experts say the integration of women into such a role elsewhere has gone smoothly, despite concern as to whether they would be up to the physical demands and about the question for fraternization between male and female troops.
All right, good.
There's a lot of words which I don't know.
Okay, great. Well, let's take it a little bit at a time then. Jacob, I wanted to welcome you, and just make sure that you have the link to the reading. It's actually in the Google chat if you want to check that out.
All right. Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me go through this here. There's a lot of words here. Let's just take it a sentence at a time. So Israel, Germany, and Canada are among the countries that have already marched down the path. The U.S. will soon follow in allowing women a role in frontline combat units. So basically, this sentence just wants to tell us that these other countries have already done this. They've already marched down the path. So that means they've just already done this thing about letting women serve in combat units. So the U.S. is now going to do it as well. So the main thing they're going to do is let women, so allow women a role. That means they have a part. They are going to fight on the front line. So the front line is actually on the ground fighting with the whatever group you're fighting against. Combat means fighting, and the units just means the group. So next sentence. There's really only 2 sentences. They're pretty long. Most experts say the integration of women, so that just means putting women together with men, integrating them into the group of men, into such roles elsewhere has gone smoothly. So far it's been okay in these other areas. Despite concerns, so that word despite, you could say something like even though there are concerns. So even though there might be concerns about whether the women can live up to the physical demands, and also that means like, are they strong enough? Are they going to be able to fight as well as men do? Mostly anything physical has to do with their body and their strength. And about the question of fraternization. So that means basically are women and men, if they're together so close and fighting and basically living together, are they going to start liking each other and wanting to have sex? That's basically what that means. So fraternization between male and female troops. So the troops just means another word for the soldiers. Okay, any questions for that paragraph there? So,
no, it's all clear.
Okay.
To be up, what does that mean?
Which one?
To be up. Or be up to.
To be up to. Good. So they're asking whether the women would be up to the physical demands. That means, are they going to be able to do the physical things that they need to? So if you are up to something, that means you're capable of doing it. Okay? Yeah, that's good. One of those phrasal verbs. All right, let's see. Here we go. How about next? Miguel, you joined us. Miguel, do you have the article so you can see where we're reading next? Miguel? Miguel Angel, are you there? Okay, Landit, how about we go to you because I don't hear Miguel. So why don't you read those 2 paragraphs there?
Okay. The announcement of U.S. policy shift came Thursday, with Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta saying the armed services have until 2016 to fully implement the change. As we report earlier, American women have found themselves on the front lines in Iraq and Afghanistan, but the move will allow them to serve in combat units for the first time. Panetta said Thursday that 152 U.S. servicewomen have died serving in 2 conflicts.
Okay. All right, so let's go for this first one. All right, the announcement of the U.S. policy. So a policy is the new ruling or the new law or the new decision that they made. Shift. So a shift, another word for shift is change. So they're making a change in their policy. Came Thursday with Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta saying the armed services have until 2016 to fully implement the change. So Landit, what do you understand by the word fully implement?
To finish the insertion of women into the army.
Yes. So to implement something means to start doing what you're saying you're going to do, and to do it fully, they're giving us the idea that maybe this is going to start now, but it might not be everywhere. It might just start in certain areas. But the next paragraph tells us that actually American women have already been fighting on what we call the front lines in Iraq and Afghanistan, but the move would allow them to serve in combat units. So this is the bigger, the most important difference here, is that even though they might be on the front lines, they're not actually fighting on the ground, running around with guns and things like that. They are maybe doing some other types of jobs in the area. So
Maybe
they're going...
Maybe happened to be in the battle. Maybe happened to be in the battle, but they didn't meant to be there.
Yeah. Yes. So, for example, that's the reason why maybe some of them actually died. It says that 152 U.S. service women have already died in either Iraq or Afghanistan. So, yes, they were not fighting in the combat. They weren't running around with guns and stuff, but maybe they got killed by a bomb or, something like that. Okay? Any questions about those two paragraphs? Anything you didn't understand? Okay. I will, Miguel, if you get your microphone working, just let me know, and then we'll come back to you. Koray, would you like to read the next paragraph there? How about you read those two paragraphs?
Okay, I'm reading. Can you hear me?
Right here, Lori Manning.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Do you see where I am right here? Where it says Lori Manning, a former U.S. Navy captain?
Okay, I am reading.
Okay, go ahead.
Lori Manning, a former U.S. Navy captain, says allowing women to serve in combat roles would place the United States in the ranks of several of its key areas that have taken the same step. During her
Yeah, go ahead, read the next one.
Okay. During her time in the Navy, Manning is now director of the women in the military reported at the Women's Research Education Institute, so forced up the integration of women on ships and submarines and as editors in the 1990s.
Okay, great. So, Lori Manning, what is she? What does it mean to be a former U.S. Navy captain?
That she was a Navy captain, but she's not retired.
Yes, that's how we get this word former. So it means something that you did before and you're not doing it anymore. So she used to be in the Navy. The Navy is with the ships, and she was a captain. So she says that allowing women to serve in combat roles, so to fight basically, would place the United States in the ranks of several of its key allies that have taken the same step. So what does that mean here? In the ranks of. The United States will join the ranks of. Does anybody understand that line there? Jacob or Imad? Yes? What is it?
That it will be in the same position that his key allies.
So basically it's just the fact that other countries who are allies with the United States already have done this. They've already allowed women to serve in combat roles. So during her time in the Navy, Manning, who is now director of the Women in the Military Project at the Women's Research and Education Institute, saw firsthand the integration of women on ships and submarines and as aviators in the 1990s. What does it mean to see something firsthand? Imad or Jacob, do you guys know what that means, to see something firsthand?
Firsthand, I think it's the first time that this happened. And it meant in this case that the first time the U.S. Army used women or involved women in military.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Nope, it has a different meaning. It actually means, well, the article is talking about this happening, but when you say I saw something firsthand, that means you actually saw it with your own eyes. So,
Okay.
yeah.
First hand mean that I see it in my. So I was witnessing the action.
Yes, you witnessed the action. So because she was in the Navy at the time, she was a captain, she saw it firsthand. So she was there watching what was happening. And what was happening is the integration, so women coming onto ships, submarines, and flying airplanes. So does everybody know what submarines are? Andoni, you know what a submarine is?
Yes, I do know submarines.
Okay.
What about the submarines?
Submarines are the ships that go underwater.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh.
Can I ask a question? Can I
Sure.
ask a question?
Uh-huh. Yes, please.
Sometimes people when they see a new device or talking about new device, they tell you that I put my first hand on the device. Did they mean in this word that they try it or what?
I think what you might have heard is something like I was one of the first to get my hands on it, which means they're the first ones to try it. Yes. I'll write it in.
Okay.
I'll write it in the chat. I was one of the first ones to get my hands on it. That would mean you actually, like if you're talking about an iPhone, for example, a new iPhone coming out, you stood in line and you're one of the first ones to get your hands on it. But to see something firsthand would mean, like for example,
I was witness.
Yeah, you were there. Like you can say like it's the same thing as saying like an eyewitness. It's like a first-hand account. That you hear that a lot. That means a first-hand account means somebody who was actually there is telling you the story, what happened.
Yes.
And does everybody understand the word aviators? What do aviators do?
Is it like pilots?
Yes. Pilots. Yep, they fly the plane. So that's just another word for a pilot, aviators. Okay? All right. Let's continue on with the reading. Let's see. Okay, who wants to go next? Who's in the line here? Let's see. All right. Jacob, would you like to read that?
All right, yeah. The same concerns have been raised repeatedly. She says, were women strong enough, would fraternization in the ranks compromise that mission, and would the American public support women on the front lines? Those things are always raised and have never ever been right, she says.
Okay. So here she's telling us that there are some current concerns that people raise. That means they bring up repeatedly, over and over again, when you repeat something over and over again. And so, what are the main concerns? There's 3 of them. So Jacob, tell me in your own words what you understand are the 3 concerns about having women in combat units.
Yeah, the first one is, were women strong enough? The second one is, was a woman, whether a woman would be affected by the man or other relationship.
Yeah.
The third one is, what about the public? Normal people, how do people think about this thing?
Right.
Whether they can accept this or not.
Right. Yes, exactly. So this particular one right here where it says, would fraternization in the ranks compromise the mission? So not only are they worried about women and men getting together, maybe as boyfriend and girlfriend or something like that, but they're worried about if that does happen, how will that affect the mission, so the job that they're supposed to be doing. How will that happen? Yeah, Andoni, that's kind of funny, huh? Okay, so he wrote ha 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 in the chat. Okay, and then yes, and you said the third one is the public support. So what do people actually think? Do Americans in general want women to be there? Do they think it's a good idea? So those are some of the concerns that people have always talked about and why they did not do it before. But she's saying these things have been raised, so that means people bring them up, but they have never, ever been right. So she says they don't happen or they're not a concern. Okay? All right, so the next part of the article goes into talking about actually Canadian women fighting in Afghanistan. So Jacob, would you, Ahmad, would you read those 2 paragraphs there?
Yes, okay.
Great.
Manning point to Canada, which has deployed women in infantry units serving in Afghanistan. They have no such issues there, she says. They have done very, very well in Afghanistan, which is really Canadians' first time having women in the infantry deployed abroad, Manning said. Throughout history, women have occasionally served in combat, and estimated half million were deployed in combat roles in World War II, serving an anti-aircraft batteries in Britain and Germany, and as partisans in Germany occupied Ukraine and on the front lines.
Ukraine.
Among other roles.
Let's stop there. Just go. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go back to this one. So this one says that so Manning points to. What does it mean to point to something or somewhere?
Refer to something.
So she's using yes, exactly. She's using Canada as an example. So she's pointing to Canada, which has deployed women in infantry. What does to deploy mean? If you deploy women.
Put a woman or involved woman in the infantry?
Yes, often deploy means to send them off to the infantry units in Afghanistan. So they've sent the women off to infantry, which is the fighting units, in Afghanistan. There have been no such issues there, she says. So none of those concerns happened, and they've done very, very well. Which is really Canada's first time having women in the infantry deployed abroad, so to another country. So basically she's saying Canadian women have done it and it's not been a problem. And then this little paragraph here says throughout history, so in the past, women have occasionally, do people know what occasionally means? Can somebody give me another word for occasionally?
Few times, or not repeated, but not much.
So sometimes.
On some occasions.
Yeah, on some occasions, sometimes they've served in combat, and an estimated 500,000 were deployed in combat roles in World War II. So they've already been sent to war, basically to fight, and they were serving on anti-aircraft batteries, which just means ships and things that actually shoot down aircraft, in Britain and Germany, and as partisans in German-occupied Ukraine, and on the front lines. So they've already been doing this. All right, so we have
partisans. Partisans. What the meaning of this?
As partisans, it means they were taking part. So they were not the only ones there, but they were part of the people who were fighting with other troops from other countries.
Kind of supporter, yani. I mean, supporter. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so let's go with Christoph. Would you like to read the next 2 paragraphs there?
Okay. Among other roles, Soviet women were deployed as snipers against the Nazi Wehrmacht,
yeah, the German word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says historian and author David Plantes. Snipers were used extensively and women certainly shared in these duties. He says, a few of them, such as Rosa Shanina, who was credited
Yep.
with 54 hits,
Yep.
have gone down in Russian history, but the names of most have been forgotten, Glantz says.
Okay, so this little part here is just telling us that Soviet women, so does everybody know what the Soviet Union was?
Yeah.
Where Russia is now? And
yes.
Okay, all the Soviet Union, the different, now they're different countries there, but they used to belong all to the Soviet Union. Okay, so they're saying that in the Soviet Union, the women were deployed as snipers. Does everybody know what does a sniper do, actually?
He kills high officer ranks.
Yes.
Francotirador.
Yeah, exactly. So, so snipers are usually actually very highly trained shooters. So another word is shooter, and they use kind of high-powered pistols or rifles to secretly kill high-ranking officials and other important people in the army or whatever, the military that you're fighting against. So sometimes in American action movies, they always have different snipers that are working. They're not necessarily in the military, but they might be fighting somebody or needing to kill somebody for some reason. Yeah, like SWAT team. So they were snipers. They were very highly trained people who could use guns very well. Okay, so snipers were used extensively, and women certainly shared in these duties, he says. A few of them, such as Rosa Shanina, who was credited with 54 hits. So in this case, what does a hit mean?
That he killed 54 persons.
So she, that was her duty, that was her job, and she got 54 hits. And so they've been, she became pretty popular, I guess, in Russian history, but there were other women who also were doing it too, even if they weren't as popular. Okay, how about we have, Andoni, why don't you read that paragraph right there, in Canada.
Okay. Okay. In Canada and Germany, as in the United States, the question of placing women in combat roles has revolved around equality rather than military necessity, says Phil Carter, director of the Center for a New American Security Military Veterans and Society program. Carter, who is a former Army officer, says that for most of history, women served in combat only when it was necessary.
Okay, so I'll go through this one. In Canada and Germany, as in the United States, the question of placing women in combat roles has revolved around equality rather than military necessity. So what are they trying to say here in this sentence? The question of women being able to fight is really a question of what?
That is more a question about equality between different genders than a necessity for the military.
Yeah. So, excuse me. So what that means is the U.S. military really doesn't need women to go there. Other countries do. They need women to be in the military because they don't have enough men to be fighting. But that is not the case in the United States. So the real question really is it fair? Should women be able to do exactly what men are able to do? So it's a question of equality. So that's what that basically is saying. Because for the most part, right here at the very end of the paragraph, we see women served in combat only when it was necessary. So usually it was only men, but sometimes if you needed more people, to fight, you would get women in there as well. Okay, Andrej. Is that how you say your name? Andrej?
Andre.
Andre, okay, Andre. Where are you from, Andre?
Czech Republic.
Czech. Okay, great, wonderful, welcome. Okay, why don't you read, how about these next two paragraphs? Whoops,
okay.
Hold on, I messed it up. Okay, go ahead.
So, it was usually driven by some existential crisis, whether it's Soviet Union fighting for its survival or Israel fighting for its independence, he says.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Generally, when given a choice, at least Western countries have not pressed women into service nor used them in anything or other than an auxiliary capacity.
Mm-hmm.
In recent years, German female soldiers have been deployed to dangerous areas of northern Afghanistan, such as Baghlan province.
Yes. Okay, so what do you understand by this sentence here? It was usually driven by some existential crisis.
Well,
yeah.
That these crises were some reasons for deploy women to the fighting zone.
Yes. Yes. So an existential crisis would refer to something like if we don't have people fighting, we might just lose the whole thing, and the whole reason for fighting might just be gone because you need to have people there to protect us or to fight for us. So that's happened in the Soviet Union and also in Israel because they were fighting for their independence. Yes? Did somebody have a question?
Existential, driven from the word exist?
Uh-huh. So it's like a crisis in your very being. So like in the case of Israel, for example, it's a small group of people there. It's a crisis in their whole group. Like if they don't have enough people to fight, it's like they're really not a group of people. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, you won't exist anymore. Exactly, Lendit. Thank you. Okay, so generally, when given a choice, at least Western countries have not pressed women into service. So that means Western countries have not had to make women go into service, whereas the article is saying in countries like Israel that are very tiny and don't have as many people, they need the women to go there. So women have to join the military. And auxiliary capacity, the word auxiliary just means helping. So in the capacity means like what you do. So they would only nor use them in anything other than auxiliary. So the Western countries would just use women to help in roles that would help. Maybe they're nurses, maybe they take care of wounded soldiers, maybe they work in offices or something like that. They're not directly related to the fighting. Okay. All right. So continuing on here. Talking about Australia. I'm going to read this one. No, actually. Who's next? Okay, Joseph, how about you read that one? Australia.
Okay. Australia is making the same transition the U.S. is making.
Mm-hmm.
Phasing in the opening up to a combat roles. While the UK has yet to make such a move, France allows women in a combat posts, and New Zealand lifted a combat restriction for female soldiers in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm. So Australia is making the same transition. What do you think transition means, Joseph?
The same move and the same thing.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing. So it's a transition. It's going from one way of doing things to a new way. So that's a transition. And they're phasing in. So that means they're taking it step by step. When you phase something in, you do one step at a time, one phase at a time. And then we learned that in the UK, in the United Kingdom, they've already done this, and that France already allows women to work in combat posts to fight in combat, and New Zealand also since 2000. Okay, so here's the example of Israel. So the Israeli example. Landit, you want to read that paragraph there?
Yeah. The Israeli example. In Israel, women have long been integrated into combat roles, but Carter says the lesson there is not necessarily directly translatable to the United States. Israel has universal conscription, but also a much different manpower requirement, he says. They have to generate much larger forces in relation to their population size. So they really need women to serve. Also, although women serve throughout the Israel military, they don't really serve in the infantry or special operations forces, and have only done so in Israel history by exceptions.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit here and just make sure we understand what they're saying. So in Israel, the women have already been doing this, they say, but Carter, the guy they're interviewing, says that the lesson is not necessarily directly translatable. So what does it mean to be directly translatable to the U.S.?
That they cannot just take the Israel and put it in the United States directly without changing them.
Exactly. They can't just do what Israel does. It's a different situation. So Israel has universal conscription. What does that mean?
Women and men, they all serve in the military.
Yes, so the word conscription means that you have to, like at a certain age, maybe at age 18 or 19, you're drafted into the military. That means you have to join the military. You don't have a choice. And universal means everybody, women and men. Nobody gets away. All right, so they have a different manpower requirement. So manpower is how many people you have working for you. They have to generate much larger forces. So they have to make much larger forces in relation to their population size. So they really need women to serve. Also, they haven't actually been serving in the infantry or special operations forces, only by exception. So what does it mean by exception?
Only a few times in history.
Yeah, like it's not the normal. Yeah, it's not the norm. It's not what they usually do, but there's exceptions to the norm. So that would be it. Okay, great. Thanks. And Imad, would you like to read the next paragraph there?
Okay, but from Michael?
Yes. Did you have a question before you start, or no?
Just I want. Okay, I can postpone it, but okay. Should I start? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Michael Olanon, a senior fellow at the Brookings institution, agrees that Israel is an imprecise analogy. Unlike the way the U.S. military operates, in Israel combat is very near hometowns and home territory.
Good.
I think there is some utility in looking at this other's military, but we need to bear in mind that there are some important differences in their security requirements and our own, he says.
Okay, so there's a couple of, let's stop there. Okay, there's a couple of tricky words here. Does everybody know what it means to be a senior fellow at an institution? So this, the Brookings Institution is like a group of people who study things and they write papers and articles. They study foreign policies that the United States is making, what the United States does with other countries and that kind of thing. So to be a senior fellow means basically you're just a person with a high up job. So you're a senior, which means you're not a junior. It means you've been working there for a while. And a fellow is one of the people who is like a researcher or a person who studies these issues and then writes about them. Yeah. Another word for fellow is like a guy. You could say he's a nice fellow. That is another word for a guy. Yeah. All right. So they agree that Israel is an imprecise analogy. What does the word imprecise mean? Imad or
Against
anybody?
precise?
Yeah,
it's against the opposite of precise.
Exactly. So not precise. It's not a very good analogy. Analogy is kind of like when you're comparing two things together. You're trying to say that one thing is like another thing. So it's not really the same situation, basically. In Israel, the people, the women and the men who are fighting, they're fighting very near to their home. Israel is not sending troops around the world like the United States does. So they're basically saying that's a kind of a different thing. And then he says, I think there is utility in looking. So what does it mean that there's utility? I think there is some utility in looking.
Benefits,
Anybody?
I think benefits, kind of benefits.
Yeah, that's a good one. Benefits, there's there's a reason to do it. It's an okay thing to do. But we need to bear in mind, so that just means to remember that there are some important differences in their security requirements and our own. So they have different security requirements than the United States. All right. Christoph, how about you? Would you like to read the next 2 paragraphs there?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Men and women currently in the military have different standards for mandatory twice yearly physical fitness examination, but there are also occupational standards for certain jobs. Say money. I continue or?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Gender neutral standards. For example, to be a pilot, your femur. Your femur has to be a certain length. You have to have a certain sitting height. She says, those are the occupational standards, and any woman going into any job has got to meet those in the exact same way as a male does.
So basically, in these 2 paragraphs, we're saying that men and women currently, so right now, in the military have different standards. So that means that the women do not have to do exactly what the men do in terms of physical fitness examination. So in terms of checking out your physical health and what you can actually do, which they test twice yearly. Mandatory means you have to do it. So there are also occupational standards. Does everybody know the word occupational? What does that refer to? Occupational.
That is, how to say?
Occupation. Well,
that you need to.
Yeah, go ahead.
To reach that standards.
The standards for the mission or the job that you will apply to?
Yes, exactly. So occupation refers to the job that you're going to do. So there are certain standards that you have to meet in order to do certain types of jobs. So in the next paragraph it says, for example, to be a pilot, so to fly the planes, your femur, which is the big bone in your leg, has to be a certain length. And then you have to be a certain height when you're sitting up to be able to fly the planes, because they're probably a certain size that they made them. And so basically what they're saying is that these occupational standards are not going to be changed, that the women, in order to be able to do certain jobs, are going to have to meet the same standards as a man in order to be able to do that job. So if they can't, then they won't be able to do it anyways. Okay. All right, we have just a couple more here. Andoni, would you like to read the next 2 paragraphs here?
Okay. The question will be whether the military can keep its standards in place and make them gender neutral, Carter says. If they can, this will be a smashing success. But if the military relaxes them even a little bit, then that could potentially degrade combat readiness.
Yeah.
Readiness. Okay.
Yes.
As for concerns about fraternization between male and female soldiers, Carter, who commanded mixed-gender units in both peacetime and war, says it's an issue that's always there, but it's not insurmountable. Do I read the next paragraph?
Andre?
Yeah.
Can you finish reading? Because I think maybe Andoni's mic messed up on him or something. Froze.
And from what word?
Where it says Carter.
Carter.
Uh-huh.
Carter, who commanded mixed gender units in both peacetime and war, says it's an issue that's always there, but it's not insurmountable.
Mm-hmm.
I really think this is doable. It's something that the U.S. military has been doing for a long time, he says.
Okay, great. Okay, so basically they are just saying at the end of this article here that if the military changes the standards and relaxes them, that means makes them easier for women, that's going to potentially degrade, so make the combat readiness less. So they won't be as prepared if they make it easier just so women can do those jobs. And the other thing is, as for concerns about the fraternization between male and female, they basically say that it hasn't happened before, and if it does, it's not insurmountable. So it means you can overcome it. It's not something that you can't deal with. So they think it's doable. They think it will work, and it's something that they're going to try. So, we have some more here. I'm going to read this last part so we can. Because I wanted to find out your opinions. So O'Hanlon of the Brookings Institute says, if anything, fraternization may be less of an issue in infantry units. In some ways, it's a lesser challenge because it's not exactly the place where someone's first thoughts are sexual. I don't see it being any greater problem than it is already, he says. So basically, he's just saying that while it could be a problem that men and women will get together, usually when you're fighting, sex is not the first thing that you're thinking of. You're probably thinking about how to not get killed. So, all right, so we just have a couple more minutes here. So I wanted to ask each of you, what do you think about this idea of women fighting? Do you have any concerns? Do you think it's a good idea or not such a good idea? I'm going to start with Joseph. Joseph, do you have any opinions?
Well, I don't know, but I guess it's a good idea. Why not?
Why not? If the men have to go. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can I have question?
Yes, Mad. Go ahead.
When I looked to Yahoo articles, I found it when I tried to read it. I found new words and complicated words. I don't know, but I feel it's very complicated. You as a Native American, if you read Yahoo, do you feel that it's over made in hard way? Because looking at this article and any other article, you will find it easy to understand and simple words.
Mm-hmm.
But Yahoo website is familiar and should be popular for the people from America. Is it easy for you to read Yahoo or found it complicated? I don't know, but I feel it's over. They overused hard
overly
word.
Complicated.
Is it the case?
I have not read a lot of stuff on Yahoo, but when I have not found it overly complicated. I think it sometimes it depends on what topic you're reading about. So if you're familiar with the topic, especially in your own language, then it might be easier for you to understand the words that they would use in the article, because in your own language you would be speaking about the issue in the same way. But if it's a topic that you're reading about that you're not very familiar with in your own language, then it also might be more might be harder.
I read an article making a comment about Obama's speech. I heard the Obama speech. It was very easy and understand it.
Yes.
But when I read the Yahoo article, I found them put some kind of complicated word. I didn't understand it. Even I thought it was British article, not American article.
I would say it all depends on the writers too. Probably Obama's speech was actually not very difficult to understand because he was trying to make it easy to understand for people. So, but writing about it, that is a different thing. Somebody might be writing about it and using different words because they might be analyzing it a little bit more. But let me finish up with the class here because I just wanted to find out what people think. Andre, do you think it's okay for women to fight in the combat? Class here because I just wanted to find out what people think. Andre, Landit, what do you think?
I don't agree. I think the war is very horrible and it should only be for men. Women can help, but in auxiliary works.
Okay. Imad, what do you think?
I think the same thing. The woman is the symbol of home and easy. I don't want women to be involved in such horrible states.
Okay. And Christoph, what do you think?
Yes, the same idea. I think my colleagues have reason.
Okay.
Alright, yes.
And Andoni, is your microphone working? What do you think?
Yeah. So I think it is a good idea because it shows that the United States is making progress because it shows that men and women in the United States they have equality and so it is great. But I have to say something. They have to be very careful.
Yes. Yes.
Hello?
Okay. Yes, Sada, you just joined us. We're actually just finishing up this class.
Yes, Lisa. So can you repeat your topic in today?
Yes, the topic for today was an article we were reading about the United States allowing women to fight in combat on the front lines.
Yes, that's why I think my country is Asian country in Sri Lanka. So I every day watch and I every day surf in internet in American how is the major attitude in American. So I think American is very powerful country, but women are very women are doing violence day by day. Because of that, I think Obama is a very powerful man in American government, but he can't realize how to women handle and how to men and how to young children handle too. That's my opinion.
Okay, great. And Andre, is your mic on? Do you want to answer? You'll be the last one to just tell us what you think.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, well, I think there is no difference between there's no difference if men or women fight in war. So I think if woman wants to fight, it's no difference between men and women.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Everybody has a different opinion about it, and some of you are the same, some are different, and we'll see what happens. But thank you for joining for the class today. We went over a little bit, but it was an interesting topic, and we'll just have to see how it goes. Of course, probably all of us would prefer that we didn't even have to have a war or a military. I think Landit said that is.
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. Okay, great. Well, thank you guys for participating today in the class.
Thank you very much.
You guys did a good job reading. Thanks.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Yes. I think sometimes they're not sure if it's a Verbling problem or a Google plus Hangouts, but I know the other day that the Hangouts was actually down everywhere, and so they were having problems with that. But if you continue to have problems, it's a good idea, especially if you want to go to the Facebook web page for Verbling and you can tell them about it, or if you're in a class, you can tell the teacher and then we'll tell Verbling, because maybe if it's on their side, they can do a fix for it. So if you ever have any problems with anything, then just let us know somehow, and then the people who run the website, they are always working on the website and always trying to make it better. So if you have any problems or ideas on how to make things work better, you can tell them or tell one of the teachers, and we will tell them. So is it a problem like when you click on the join class button and you come in and then you get dropped pretty soon, or is that what it is?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, sometimes.
Landon?
Yes, and sometimes, but it's more about Hangout. Application in Google
I see.
have some mistakes, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a problem with our connections and maybe various difficulties. I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to figure out where the problem is coming from because there's so many different factors: the internet connection, the speed, your computer, the different programs, the browser. There's all different types of things working together.
Yes,
So
it's complicated. Yes.
in the Verbling chat, that would be helpful. It looks like maybe it's not working on my side for some reason. Anyways, if you want to join the class, I think we have a couple more spots. Click on the Join Class button. Today I chose an article from NPR, which is National Public Radio in the United States. And recently they made a decision that women are going to be able to fight in combat, like on the front lines. So this has been something that wasn't allowed before in the U.S. military, and so now this is a change in their policy for women in the military. And so I thought it would be interesting and timely to have a reading about it and then a discussion, because in fact in some countries women are already fighting on the front lines. So it's not something that's totally new in the world, but it is new for U.S. women in the military. So let's get started here. I'm going to ask you to just say your name and tell us what country you're from, and we'll get started. Joseph, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi there. How are you today?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, I'm Yusuf and I'm from Yemen and my native language is Arabic.
Okay, wonderful. Rasal, how are you today?
Hello. Hello, I'm fine. I'm Rasal from
Hi everybody, this is Lisa, and I want to welcome you to another Verbling class. It's 4 p.m. Pacific time, and we are going to start this class now. So I'm going to start welcoming everybody into the Google Hangouts. If you would like to join this class, all you have to do is click on the green Join Class button, which should be available up above the Verbling chat box, and we can have up to 9 people in this class. So if you're interested in doing some reading and some speaking in English and having a discussion, then please click on the Join Class button and you will be able to participate in class. Welcome everybody. Let's see here. I've tried to... Okay, let's get started. Some people are going to probably join us since we have a few more spots. I'm not sure if there's another... I think there might be another class going on as well, so that offers more opportunities for people to participate. I'm going to put the link to the document I took this from the NPR website, and I don't know if you can see it in the Verbling chat, so I'm going to put it in the Google Hangouts chat also. I'm not sure if the Google... Try again. If somebody else could put it in...
I'm from Mexico.
Okay, wonderful. What part of Mexico are you in?
I live in Monterrey, Mexico.
Okay. And Ahmed, are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm alright. How are you, Lisa? Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Well, I've never seen you, but I hear you.
Yeah, right.
That's okay. And tell everybody what country you're from.
Yeah, I am Ahmed from Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Okay. So, yes, I'll just let people know there might be some people that are watching this trying to decide if they want to come in to the class. I think there might be one or two more places left, so you should see the Join Class button. So if you're thinking about it, you want to join the class, just click on the green button. You do not have to have your camera on. I usually have my camera on because sometimes it's actually easier to understand somebody when you can see them speaking. But I will be putting my screen share on to when we start reading the article. But you do not have to have your video on. In fact, for most people, it's easier to not have your video on because then you have a better internet connection. So I don't think the Verbling chat is working for me. I'm not sure why. So I put the link up there.
Not only the chat box, but also some different joining the classes. And sometimes I join the classes and immediately I think it's problem with the Hangout also because it's crashed sometimes. I don't know.
New York and yes, what you ask?
That's all. But I'm wondering now that you reminded me that you are in New York, is it pretty cold there right now?
Oh yes.
Because
it's better from yesterday, but it's still very cold. Temperature, I guess it's 5 or 6, something like that. And I'm right now drinking tea.
Yeah, because in one of my other classes this week, we did some reading about in Chicago, they've been having some really freezing cold weather, and they had a fire in a warehouse, and when they were trying to put it out, the water that they were trying to use to put out the fire just kept freezing, and it made all these icicles on the building, and I was wondering if it was happening over in New York too, that cold weather. So yeah, sounds like it. Hi Landit, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine, thanks. My name is Landit and I'm from Mexico.
Okay, wonderful. And Corey, are you there? Corey, I think that's how you say it. Corey?
Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, my name is Koray. I am from Turkey.
Okay, Corey, welcome. And Imad, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm here. Thank you very much.
Why don't you tell everybody what country you're from, Imad?
Yes, I'm from Syria, and I'm living now in Egypt.
Oh, in Egypt. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, and Andoni, are you there?
Yeah, yes, I'm here. My name is Andoni,